coach?
Man, anytime I look at these guys, like, they're my nephews and close family members. So when you see him come back, as strong as he came back and the way he looks right now, we're really happy with the way he looks and how physical he already is. Makes me question, his Montgomery bloodline and my Montgomery bloodline. Our ligament, difference and strength difference. There's a difference. I've accepted it. There's a difference. It's been special, man. He's in a good spot right now.
We talked to Ben yesterday before practice. Said still need to kind of get a feel for where he was at, what the rotation might look like, and I'm sure that's still kind of being decided. But how comfortable are you for David if he needs to step up and go back into that 50% type timeshare?
I think we'll find it out as we go along, because the one thing that you forget about, there is not just the physicality that comes with football games, but also that adrenaline and everything that's rolling and the energy that goes into every play. You have to really pour it out at that position. So I think we'll figure it out. I think that we've been very transparent with each other about how he feels, about, what we expect from him. And I think whatever we ask him to do, he's going to go out and do a great job of it. But I still got to get a good feel for, what it looks like 3 plays in a row, 4 plays in a row. I'm not going to get ahead of myself, because if I do, I could put him in harm's way, and we're not going to do that.
I just posed this question to Dan, so I'd love to pose it to you. We've talked numerous times about, the importance of backs in today's offensive cores. When you were first pairing the tandem of Gibbs and Montgomery together, at the very root of it, did you imagine them being just as league-wide dominant as they are today?
Yes, of course. Absolutely. No. You can't really, you have, hopes and wishes. This is what we hoped it would look like. I mean, really, the physicality that both of them bring, the speed, the quickness. We didn't really understand the physicality of Gibbs and the ability to catch the football of David and all those things and how they mix together. The biggest thing you don't know when you don't have them in the building together is how well they mesh. What is it going to be like in the room? What is going to be the emotional response to each other? And that part, I got to commend them on it, because they did a fantastic job from day one. David kind of took him under his wing, and everything I taught David and was drilling to David, I would hear him talking to Ja, asking him, hey, what about this? All right, you got this 4 down front, you got this bare front. Talk to me about this. And I think that made Ja understand that it was bigger than just the competition. It was that he really cared about him and cared about his trajectory, not only as a player, but his trajectory as a person. And those 2 things kind of combined make them what they are. I mean, going all the way back to this Sonic and Knuckles deal was kind of funny to some people, but that was them. They wanted to be together, and I think that it's helped us quite a bit. And it was good to see Ja be able to take care of him when he was out. And we've had situations where Ja's been out and David's been able to carry the load. So we're really happy for the 2 of them.
And on that note, if you look back at Ja's college tape, he's used to that lead production role. You can see it very easily. But I still think the last few weeks when he did have to make up for David's presence, you could see newer facets forming in his game and just other things he's picked up. What did you notice as he was taking on that load again?
The game, as you continue to play it, the more you play it on this level, the snapshot of what you're seeing the 4th time is much different than the snapshot of what you're seeing the 10th and 11th time. Now he's starting to see some of these movements and these schemes over and over and over again, whereas that David had that history, a lot of carries, a lot of those things. So that all that's happening is he's maturing on the field, and his maturation process has a lot to do with his vision. And that's probably the thing that we're seeing right now. There's some small details that he's using, techniques that he's using that we teach, but you can't teach it moving at that speed, all right? Now he can do it at that speed, and that's what makes him elite. I mean, he's elite at what he does.
Obviously, we only see you up here when you speak at the podium. You seem to be the exact opposite of salty. Has anybody ever called you salty?
Yes, my children, they probably... They think that I'm the saltiest, but yeah, this is our culture, right? We do what we have to do when we do it. But if you've seen me coach on the field, you probably seen a little salt.
When you are prepping for this opponent, Bobby Wagner, I mean, what stands out about his game play, and particularly at this stage of his career?
I think pretty much everything. He's been a guy that could diagnose really quickly. I'm thrilled that we get a chance to compete against him again. the speed in which he diagnoses and the speed at which he plays the game, but also when he knows he can go put a physical dominance on a person or a player on a team, he continually does it over and over and over again. They're using him in multiple situations. He's not, some teams, he's just a Mike backer that's just doing this, just rushing the passer or doing these things. They can use him in coverage, right? They can use him as a pressure guy. He's problematic. I see him as a guy that not only is using his history, but as offenses evolve, his mental is still evolving too. So he's seeing new things thrown at him, and he looks like he's been doing it for a long time. Really impressed by him. A lot of respect for him.
When you look at the relationship between Dan and Jared, what impresses you most about the connection that they have together?
I think you think about Dan and you think about Jared. The first thing that I think is that their connection is their mental aptitude. And it's the connection of football, but it's also a mental aptitude. You guys get to see Dan kind of in this situation and setting where we get to listen to him. We get the game plan with him. And the way that they're able to bounce these ideas off of each other and then work to the best possible solution, that's just what I see. I think that's their connection. And then, as people, right, I think they're almost identical as much as they are different. When you think about what Dan stands for, his family, the things that are important to him, the people around him, those are the exact same things that you think about when you think about Jared, bringing our guys out in the offseason to throw and catch, making sure that our guys in the building, whether it's a gift, which, people say, oh, it's not a big deal. Well, it is a big deal. It's a big deal for us in here. When you receive a gift, he delivers a gift to every coach. All right. He takes care of the offensive line. He's speaking with every single person in the building. That's no different than Dan. It's just in a different package. So I think their connection is as people is one thing, and then their connection as coach and player is directly connected to their mental aptitude for football.
Scottie, what was his gift to you?
Am I able to say? It was a sweet ass bottle of bourbon. It was impressive. So, I haven't drank it. I don't partake quite yet, but I'm definitely going to partake in that bourbon come pretty soon here.
I'm curious, when we see their rushing defense numbers, 4.8 yards per carry, you think, okay, that's a team you could run all over, but they brought in so many new defensive pieces that probably were taking some time to gel. When you look at their more recent tape, which I'm sure is what your focus is on as you're prepping, what do you see in their run defense at this stage of the season?
They are a lot more stout in the interior. There's things that are happening there. The other thing is that you see those numbers 4.8. You see some explosives kind of a ways back, and then really in one game you saw some real explosives. But also, if you're looking at those explosive numbers, there's a lot of zeros and ones and zeros and ones and twos and ones, inefficient runs. So we try to make sure that we're looking at the explosives, but why are they, inefficient runs or inefficient runs right there? And one of the reasons is they just do a really, really good job. Their two interior defensive linemen do a good job. And then their edge guys, because they are rotating edge guys, you get a different look. You're getting heavy, then you get Fowler in who can just get around you, use his hands, use his technique, use his speed. So they are doing things a lot better. And then coming out of the, the ceiling there, those safeties, especially 11, he does a good job. He can get you on the ground.
We could see Mahogany on the right side this weekend. What about him and his development this year gives you confidence about his run blocking?
He's grown. If Z can't go, he has definitely grown. He's continuing to work his pad level. That's one thing that Hank has done a great job of. If you kind of looked at him when he first came in, his pad level was high. He's continued to reduce his pad level. And the other day in practice, I'm standing back there, and we put him in a situation where he was pulling, and he just did a phenomenal job of not only pad level, but accelerating through the hit. He's grown in that way, but he's always had this confidence and a level of maturity when it came to being around our guys. It's never felt like it's too big for him. Even in camp, when we first started, we gave him a lot of reps, a lot of different opportunities, before, everything went down in spring, I should say. And he always knew what to do and how to do it. So now we got him back, of course, 3 or 4 weeks. He looks like he's ready. He looks like he's ready to go and play a physical, tough game, and that's what we need of him.
I don't know how much you guys are running backs on the other team, but if so, what can you tell your defense how to bring down Ekeler? Because he just seems impossible to tackle.
We've seen him before. We've had a chance to go against him before. It's he's very difficult. He's very good in short area spaces, but it's not always quickness. He has some hesitance, and he uses different things in his. But I think the hardest thing about him is finding him in the passing game, getting him on the ground in the passing game. You can use him so many different ways. So these safeties and corners that have a chance to tackle him, he may look short, but he is not small. So when you get ready to tackle him and firm him up and fit him up, he's a lot stronger. I don't know if you guys have seen some of his numbers in lifting. He is one of the strongest people pound for pound in this league. I got a great amount of respect for him. I watch all the backs around the league. I want to know what they're good at, how they do it. And one of the things I've been impressed with him, going all the way back to he was young, he's been a heavy lifter. So that physical